Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, the 29th of April, 2026, and I literally just got back from a walk with the dogs in the deep woods, so sorry for the hair. I did not feel like fixing it because, again, I like to talk about international news, not appearance. And I just wanted to give a friendly reminder to people that tomorrow, my volume's way down. Sorry about that. Tomorrow, between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jeff from Stinky Cash and myself, we're going to be finally doing a one-on-one. We have not done that before. I think it was maybe 2 years ago now. He did jump on a podcast with Zetetic Warrior. I was on it as well. And we did discuss the luminaries a little bit and the sun's travel path. We talked about the sine waves it maps out. Very interesting conversations. And I highly recommend people take a look at his videos, especially on perception and the eyes, and so many other videos as well. But we've talked, and that's why I went on Dave's channel, and I like Dave as well, and Sovereign Soul, Mind Unchained, and so I didn't talk too much about Iran like I wanted to, but again, it's not my channel, and there was multiple people on, so share the space, and I was already hogging it enough, and Jeff didn't really speak at all. And anyway, so on with the news before it disappears in the ether. So once again from Eva Chipiuk, I think is how you pronounce her name. Whoops. I'm just going to pause this. I don't know if I shared this yesterday, but if I did, it was one of the last things I did share. And so breaking, David M. Morins, a senior advisor to Anthony Fauci, is facing indictment for his role in a scheme to evade Freedom of Information Act requests in connection with COVID research grants. I do remember saying it on video. But again, it is important. So if you haven't seen that, here it is again. He's charged with conspiracy against the United States, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations, concealment, removal, or mutilation of records, and aiding and abetting. This is significant. She goes on from there. But yeah, people still need to be held accountable. They need to go to jail. They need to get charged, etc., etc. Suspended, never to work in government or with government contracts again, ever, or for at least 10 years. And again, far worse has been done to people trying to expose what's been going on, including with the January 6th events. And anyway, all these staged events that were planned by feds or people working with feds, as we're seeing more and more with the SPLC, with the USAID, with the ADL, with the anti-hate Canadian network, or Canadian anti-hate network. Propaganda. So this. I like Mike. We've never talked. I've tried to reach out before, but he's never responded back, and I'm assuming it's because he gets a million messages a day from all platforms. And I'm pretty sure he's been on the Joe Rogan show and other shows, and he has a lot of good information out there. So he just posted this yesterday, I think it was, and so I was like, "This is incredible." And I'm like, "It's better 5.5 years late than never." And that's not a slag on him at all. It's just because of my network. I was tracking things coming out of China very early on, and the Wuhan Games in October of 2019, and Cladex and Event 201. Again, for years I was talking about this stuff. I did sound crazy though, and I was telling people, and I know Austin says, "Don't say I know it sounds crazy." He's like, "But it's not." But it still does sound crazy to the normal person, to an average person, when you talk about a possible gain of function therapeutic. I don't even know what you'd call it. Some people call it a bioweapon, whatever. And did cause a lot more harm than good. And yeah, the forced mandates, it was so extreme, it was crazy. And the VAERS, so the Pfizer VAERS and the other side effects that were being completely covered up and censored. So much false reporting that I was sharing, even like coming out of government websites. And I was sharing medical, scientific, and government data to so many people. Again, I'm not meaning to rehash this, and to people it sounded crazy. I'm like, but like, listen to me. Did we or did we not have the Wuhan Games in China, in Wuhan, and with CISM, where there were multiple military being representing their countries rather for these games. I've been part of CISM running, while I was serving, etc. It was a really great experience. I didn't do it for very long. I got too busy too soon in my career. But I still know people that do CISM, athletics. There's so many different events that you can do with that. But anyways, and a lot of people did get sick, right? And this is something that I was sharing reports of people that were in the games. They were from multiple other countries as well, saying that there's a possibility of planes even being grounded because of people being sick, and or people not making their flights, etc. And we, myself and Ethos and Eris, we submitted access to information requests, and we have gotten nothing back yet regarding that. And now they're archiving more and more data. They're redacting more and more data. So again, there's zero transparency now, unfortunately, and which is a crime, right? And so, but again, all these rants. But again, I was talking about this stuff, and I was saying, like, look at the dates, look at the times. Like, I'm not giving you any information that you can't verify yourself. So even with Event 201, you can verify this yourself. John Hopkins University, World Health Organization, WEF, Bill and Melinda Gates, et cetera, et cetera. Go down those rabbit holes with them and and the conflicts of interests. Look at Fauci. Anyways, the biolabs all over the world where information was getting given to China, the Wuhan lab and NIH that they had no business having, especially on Canadians as well, right? The Winnipeg lab that I was talking about for literally years, where we had Chinese spies, is what I like to call them, that had top secret Canadian government clearance, blows my friggin' mind. And yeah, they were going back and forth, and we need to have proof. But I am convinced, because they did it with other diseases, etc. But they would have given our genetic and DNA data to China. And there's a possibility, and there are a lot of other people, not just me, that are talking about looking into this. But different blood types did respond differently to coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. And it appears that the A and B blood types were impacted more adversely than the O blood types or the negative blood types. Take that for however you want. But it's just interesting. And if you look at the populations throughout the world, you'll see how these blood groups are predominantly spread in certain areas, right? So Europe, you have like more like A and now like O, and Africa, it's more B. And but again, migration impacts us as well. And then in Asia areas, it's more O. In North America, we have a blend, but still it's more A and O, and then B. Anyways, I can go on all these tangents, but here is Mike Benz. Posted this just yesterday. I'm really excited that he did. And let's see if anyone goes down these rabbit holes in government.
2 months. Wait, it would literally come out in 2 months. What does he say?
Because that's a very good chart. We have survivors. Because we have so many survivors, the epidemic already for 2 months.
Wait, I never caught that. Wait, what? Did you guys catch that? They're simulating it as if the virus has already been out for 2 months. This is happening the week of the Wuhan military games in October 2019, 2 months before the outbreak officially started. So when the outbreak happens, it would have been 2 months into it. What?
Yeah.
A fucking coincidence. Holy shit. They knew that it had leaked during the Wuhan games that were ongoing.
It did definitely leak. And again, I've talked about reports coming from people still in the military that were talking about getting sick during the games and then afterwards, and other people as well after contact. But Li Wenliang and others out of Wuhan were saying that they saw symptoms of coronavirus in these areas as early as September. So just before the Wuhan games, the people ended up going.
Someone got sick at the Wuhan games. They saw, holy shit, this flu as a fern cleavage.
And again, this is why we should not trust China, respectfully speaking. But they closed off the borders essentially from Wuhan to a lot of travel within China, but full access for people to go in and out of friggin' Wuhan from all over the world during these times. And if this is gain of function, and they were involved, and others were involved, like Fauci, etc., and then also involved in covering it up and not allowing people to do proper investigations, like has been ongoing, why is Canada selling out to China, which has been our biggest threat, and selling out our alliance with America? Because you don't like Trump. Oh my God, people, like, please. You're giving up so much of our history, wars that we've fought in and against, and constitutions created the best systems of government that's like ever been created. Like we've thrived as brothers and sisters, and now the friggin' now King Charles is talking about the Commonwealth and how America needs to join the UK and defeat Russia. You know, it's such a grift. And I think that Canada is a superior ally to the US, or could be, than the UK, than Israel, than any of them, for so many different reasons. Anyway, I've gone on all these tangents, so
Site insertion. That's the that we were doing at the Wuhan lab, funded by DARPA and USAID. Well, it hasn't spread yet. It'll probably take a couple months for it to spread. Let's get all of our cover-up in place over the next 2 months. That way we're in position when we announce that this pandemic is real. We'll already have 2 months of preparation, which we are kicking off with this Event 201 tabletop exercise, with all the heads of the media companies, the intelligence agencies, the China CDC response, the Gates Foundation, the World Economic Forum. That's a spicy meatball. That's a spicy one. Wow.
2 months.
2 months. Wait, it would literally come out in 2 months. What does he say?
You know, because that's a very good charge. We have.
all right. I had to show this. A little bit of vindication, but not much. But some people think that I'm mean because because I talk about the liberals, etc. And I've said there's a difference between being a leftist, a radical leftist, a liberal, and like people like Patty Hajdu, right? She's a grifter, and she's also a liar, and she's an entitled, rich, completely out of touch of reality person. I'm trying to be polite here. But again, I have slammed her in the past. I've done videos on her. She has lied so much, especially during COVID. And she's had a cabinet position for like a million years. This dinosaur needs to resign. And I'm surprised she's not in jail yet, or why she hasn't been, again, forced to resign. She has lied so much. And yet again, here's her lying to Canadians. I'm going to reiterate, just like she did during COVID, etc. And all the overreach and things that she's voted for. 2 thumbs down. Hajdu made up organ story. Labour Minister Patty Hajdu made up a story about organ donation in attempting to justify a 2025 cabinet order quashing an Air Canada strike. Access to information records show it marked the second time Hajdu misled media over a strike ban. Shipments of critical goods such as pharmaceuticals and organ tissue should continue. And so this is from Michelle Ferrari. If there's no integrity, there is no trust. I totally agree. And again, she's been lying for years. This is why people like myself keep on calling her out. We're not being mean. This girl sucks at her job, and she's harming Canadians, and she's stealing our money. And whenever she wants to get her way, she will literally lie to us. Sorry. Okay, we're good. Minister Hajdu should be fired for this. Anything else signals the behavior is tolerated, which tells Canadians that corruption is not just tolerated, but encouraged. And it is. It's an absolute shit show. Yeah, as long as she apologizes in French, everything will be forgiven. It's pretty funny. Yeah, Hajdu office Reno cost 1.1 million. Must be nice. By the Canadian Press, 2016. Status of Women Minister Patty Hajdu approved a 1.1 million price tag to build a new suite of offices for herself and her staff earlier this year, even though she was told the cost might raise some eyebrows. Hajdu wanted her new office to be in the same building as the rest of the agency, located at 22 Eddy Street in Gatineau, Quebec, according to documents obtained by the Canadian Press through the Access to Information Act. There's more here. Cheaper option here, $400,000. Hajdu was also warned that the pricier option might create a political problem for her once the word got out. Anyway, there's people that had good comments about this because it's about pharmaceutical, but it's about organ donation as well. And I'm wondering if I'm going to see it here, but it's about chartered aircraft and other aircraft and transportation services used for organ transportation. And so even in that, like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, possibly. Yeah, Hajdu deserves life in prison. She's committed some of the worst charter rights violations against Canadians in history. That's a fact. When she had Canadians illegally detained in her infamous quarantine hotels, She's behind the Winnipeg lab leak as she was minister at the time, all a fact. She was caught flying around while telling us to stay home and locked up. That's also a fact. Okay, let's see here. One of the worst MPs. Zero integrity, zero character, and zero morals. Typical Liberal. And it was either Bonnie Henry or Dina Hinshaw that lied and alleged, and it was so disgusting, that a child that had stage 4 cancer, I think it was brain cancer, he died from that. And they said that he died of COVID during the friggin' pandemic. It was so friggin' disgusting. And how did these people did not get forced to resign for that? In fact, they got promoted, they got bonuses, and they're probably still in Gucci jobs within government. It's disgusting. And look at their salaries. Anyway, so they will literally lie to people, even about the deaths of children and about organ transportation. Again, it's just to get their way. And Mark Carney, again, has done the exact same thing. Even calling us terrorists and things like that. Absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah. Nothing infuriates an uninformed congressional Dem more than when they realize they voluntarily triggered a debate with someone who actually knows what they are talking about, and you actually let them speak. But again, it's really hard to get a word in with a lot of these people, and you'll see here as well these tactics that are used. And it's so unprofessional, and it's so, again, it does nothing. When you just speak over people, get loud, and it's all about emotion. Okay, so reads federal statute and adheres to Supreme Court precedent. Today's self-implosion by Rosa DeLauro. Anyway.
When climate change is flooding our streets.
It was quite remarkable to witness without the apology or regret. I will always adhere to the best available reading of federal statute pursuant to the U.S. Supreme Court decision in Loper Bright. Look at this girl's friggin' hair and stuff like that too. I mean, at that age, I mean, whatever, do what you want, but like, Congresswoman, come on.
Poisoning our air, driving up healthcare and disaster costs. How can the EPA justify abandoning that duty to protect Americans to appease polluters under the false flag of economic growth?
Following the law, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, where does it say anything about fighting global climate change? Loper Bright, Supreme Court case, you familiar with it?
No,
No, and she's not, because again, so uninformed that it's all about emotion. China is the biggest contributor to pollution in the world, by far. By far. Canada's not even a touch on them. And I'm going to reiterate, why are we selling our assets, our resources to China when they should be sanctioned for the amount of pollution? You want to talk about climate change and pollution and this and that and green energy and stuff like that? We would need to sanction China and India and the Philippines to varying degrees as well, because again, the biggest contributors, it should be the top 3 to 5 contributors of the pollution and the carbon emissions, all this stuff that people are talking about. It needs to be China. Why are we rewarding bad behavior? Bad behavior from the past, even the most recent past, with, again, organ harvesting, with, murdering babies in the womb or even outside the womb because you were only supposed to have 1 child and then 2. Literally, teams like that were literally employed to do that, hunt women down to murder their babies, and if they hid because they wanted to have another baby when it was a 1-child law or whatever. No. Social credit system. There's so much. There's absolutely so much. Why are we rewarding bad behavior? We should be sanctioning them. I'm going to reiterate that. The worst contributors.
maybe others are not, but let me ask
But
you.
that's really important. As a member of Congress, Loper Bright says that we as an agency don't have the authority to get creative. If Section 202 of the Clean Air Act.
No,
doesn't-
but you don't have, excuse me, you do not have the right to
was
say
actually
climate
answering your
change
questions.
does not exist, that it's a hoax, and that's where this
is a hoax.
administration
I
is
understand
coming
you're
from.
upset that you don't know what Loper Bright is. Do you know what the major policies doctrine is?
I'm upset because
You know what the
this
major
is-
policies doctrine is?
You know what, let me just
You're a
say this
member
to
of
you.
Congress. You should know.
Well, you you have moved from someone who defended the environment to all of a sudden
I'm very
making
defensive
a-
about not knowing the two biggest landmark Supreme Court cases of the last
and
year
you are
with
very,
regards to your
you are
question.
very defensive about changing your policy and your positions with regard to the environment. Now,
Okay.
you just
Do
tell
you want me to tell you what the two biggest
No,
Supreme
I
Court
want you to
cases
tell
are of the
me-
last few years?
This is what I want you
Michigan
to tell
versus
me.
EPA,
Whoa.
West Virginia versus EPA.
You know, you're here because you need money from us. So halt for the second and wait for the questions and answer the questions.
Well, I answered your question.
She's so crazy. Congresswoman, this is what I mean. Like the highest levels of government, and this is how they talk. And they think they're so fucking smart.
But you
And
did.
you didn't like my answer because
did
you
not
don't know what
answer the
Loper Bright is,
question.
because you don't know what the major policies doctrine is,
Chairman,
because
is this
you're
how to
asking me,
answer questions?
you're asking me about Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and you don't read it. You don't know what it says.
Listen, and what you want to do is to deny. You want
No,
to
I actually read the law. I do my homework.
really.
You're just somebody who likes to have the microphone on. You know what I have to do? I read the law.
You know,
I
Mr.
read the
Chairman, I
Supreme
don't have
Court
to listen
cases.
to this, and I would say
No,
this,
what you should do
that
for your
this-
constituents is actually
this-
read
this
statute.
budget is at real risk.
Read
Let
your
me tell
Supreme
you,
Court.
This is the Appropriations Committee.
Oh,
you
you're
come
gonna-
here.
you care
and
about
you tell
science? Now
us-
you're threatening to defund it?
Oh my God! No, you don't fund
Because
science.
you don't know what Loper
You
Bright
are
is,
climate
because you don't know what the
deniers.
major policies
You are
doctrine is. Your
climate
message
deniers.
to our
You're a climate denier. You're a Nazi. You're a bigot. Oh my
folks at the EPA is that you want to
I don't
defund
have
us.
to listen to this BS.
BS. You think I made up these cases?
Yeah, I think you have made up a
I
whole
made
lot of
I made
BS.
up Loper Bright. I made up West Virginia versus EPA. I made up Michigan versus E EPA.
Woe is right. What are you doing? Why
Wait,
are you helping
whoa.
polluters? When climate change is flooding our streets, poisoning our air, driving up healthcare,
Climate change. No, sanction China. How about that? Do that. First step. Don't accept a lot of products from them. How about that? This was sad. Ottawa Police, Ottawa Provincial Police, OPP, Sergeant Brandon Malcolm took his final ride down Highway of Heroes early this morning after losing his life while on duty. That was yesterday. It's sad. Okay. I'm going to segue this with saying that I will reiterate I'm not a friggin' racist. I wouldn't care your skin color, your race, your, like, any of that stuff. Immigration and how it's been exploited, especially since 2021, like I've said, and I've showed the stats with the foreign temporary workers and the student visas and everything else, literally everything. It's been a friggin' nightmare. And I said, especially since 2021, I'm like, we need immigration, but it needs to be sustainable. There needs to be a plan for it. We have to have the infrastructure, all right? And it can't be taken away from Canadians, especially ones that have paid into the fucking system, or their family generationally has been paying into the system and helped build and create this country, all right? Priority to Canadians. And anyways, and so since 2021, through the friggin' roof, and you're going to see this chart. It's going to blow people's mind to see it in this perspective. It's a good visual. So it's migrants into Canada, and it's starts from 2008. You see here are like India, China, and then you've got from Europe and a little bit from South America, the US, Africa, a bit from Australia. Anyways, 2009, Canada. Look at how dark, especially this line got. These lines got. And I get since 2015, 2018, there was it started getting increasing, but again, 2021, like you'll see here, these lines are darkening. Unless in about 15 years, like, and these are low estimates, 17 million people coming here through immigration. So like 97 or 98% of our growth is through immigration, and it's not helping anyone, including them. Okay, I'm just gonna blow past some of these. So this was a good video. Canadians call out stolen land all day long, but stolen majority government, silence. That was good. And it's true. Um,
Guys, this
People have seen my videos, and I made some comments on when people were talking about the Canadian Armed Forces and what we're going to be allowing to be introduced into it. And I said facts over feelings, and I'm like, mark my words. I'm like, this is 100%, and there's going to be an increase in sexual harassment, sexual assault, etc., and other issues because of what we're allowing. And so this is, again, I'm going to reiterate, Jenny Carignan may be coming from a good place with what she's trying to push, all right? But this woke DEI, ESG culture, ideology that's being pushed, it has not worked at all. And I'm saying it has especially not worked for the people that she's trying to help. All right. So even with women, like I was saying, when it's not based on merit for them to be employed in the positions within the military, that we're not taken seriously. And just like pilots, right? When Charlie Kirk and others were saying that, when I see a female pilot or someone of color, I have to question whether they are actually qualified for the job or not. And if you're a pilot, that's a pretty important job. And so it used to be where it was merit based. And the standards were what they were, right? It was the same for the men and the women during your training, RECSAC marches, etc., depending on your component, obviously, but the combat arms. And it was really hard to get in, right? It was already a huge failure rates for this training in the military for men. And so again, it was few and far between that a woman would actually pass one of these courses, right? It would be like, even when I was going through, like once every couple of years, every few, you know what I mean? And so, once we started allowing an influx, right, with people that couldn't even do like 10 push-ups, women that were like very emotionally weak, and I mean this respectfully, they could have been great in other jobs, but just not for the infantry or the armor or the artillery or the combat engineering trades at all. And they were getting help through their training. Again, this doesn't help at all either, like being pushed through and assisted and not failed. Again, this doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone. And yeah, and I was getting lumped more and more into like that kind of bubble, even though I was like exempt on all my physical fitness training. I had high level jobs. I was really high functioning, etc. Like I could show my evaluation reports and stuff like that. But anyway, and yeah, so long story longer, with what has been being pushed and implemented, it has made things so much worse. So breaking 83% of foreigners in military training, lack of respect to women. This just came out 17 hours ago. So breaking, he's saying it's breaking, but if you were on my channel from the start, this is not breaking at all. Elite Canada Armed Forces report, it's Canadian Armed Forces report, shows Quebec officer training platoon is comprised of 83% non-citizens, with many of them in Canada for less than 3 months. Their graduation rate, less than 50%. In addition, there's ethnic infighting and disrespect towards female officers. Mark Carney calls it record recruitment. So anyways, I'm going to let Mario talk. I'm going to try not to yell.
This is absolutely massive and breaking news. This just came out from Juno News a few hours ago, where the Canadian Armed Forces training platoon had 83% non-citizens devolved into ethnic fighting. And it gets worse, watch this. So this is a confidential report that was leaked, and it has shown a massive surge in foreign, now permanent resident enrollment. This is in our Canadian Armed Forces. One French language platoon had over 80% of non-citizens, and they were racked by an inability to communicate fluently. There was a lack of respect towards female Canadian Armed Force service members and infighting between those from Cameroon and those from the Ivory Coast. Almost half of them failed. And there's also allegations of racial discrimination in multiple directions from candidates against staff between candidates of opposing ethnic blocs. And the report literally said that command had a problem training them. There was challenges because they lacked the respect towards women who were their peers and their superiors. And for many candidates, this is the first time they had ever lived with members of a different sex. And for some, and I'm just quoting here, it is also the first time they have been expected to treat women as their peers. They're reporting.
If you are not well traveled, and I'm not talking about the cruises and I'm not talking about the resorts, I'm talking about actually traveled the world in various capacities for work. And again, this was my experiences and for pleasure, but also like work and research and stuff like that as well throughout. I'm telling you, not every country women are treated the same. And again, I say this all the friggin' time. And again, I feel so grateful and blessed that I was born and raised in Canada. I will never take that away. One of the most protected places in the world, literally, for women, and equal rights and opportunities and things like that. But equal rights and opportunities doesn't mean equal outcomes. I'm going to reiterate that. Same thing with the US. So people that are saying that women are oppressed and homosexuals are oppressed and stuff like that. If you've only ever like lived in like your little bubble, then yeah, you can say that, but you're wrong, right? When people are getting killed in other countries just for existing, literally. And anyways, I'm going on all these tangents. But even in Canada, like even with teachers, for example, that I know in major cities, women, okay, they like men, like parents, if they have like children that are in the school system that are immigrants or immigrant parents, there is absolutely a significant culture difference. Okay, and so where the men will not even talk to the teachers or even shake her hand or anything like that. The complete lack of respect in that, and then even like the males. And one of the friends I'm thinking about, she teaches teenagers and the boys from certain cultures. And I don't want to sound racist, but they are so, again, they do not treat her like a human being, right? And it's frustrating. It's been brought up many times, and people have tried to do info sessions with the parents, etc., and with the students about how to treat women, etc., and your teachers. And no, it goes nowhere. It goes friggin' nowhere. And there's so much too that I haven't really talked about too, with abuse in the families that the teachers are seeing as well, and they try to report it. And again, this is stuff that's covered up. It's buried. It is, and it's getting worse and worse. And even the human trafficking piece, like I've talked about this, I wouldn't be so adamant if it wasn't something that, again, it's just getting worse.
Intercandidate cultural frustrations with a lack of respect towards women being the most common concern. And this article came out last year where the military was looking to boost pay in order to get more recruits and retain them. And all the signs were there. Canada revises express entry immigration rules, adds military roles. And the media, they tried to tell you this, that because of the Donald Trump threats, Canadian military recruits surge. And our Liberal government said they want to make sure that Canada remains a secure and sovereign country. Here's what I think. It's all a lie. You boosted pay to try getting people from overseas. You tried to expedite them to become permanent residents in our country. I have a feeling these people are failing on purpose. We have low-grade military recruits that are failing at a 50% rate. This is not a strong military. This is weakness. What on earth are we doing recruiting foreigners to join our army and bribing them with permanent residence in our country?
Yeah, and that's not how you get women recruits to want to join.
It's clear that their culture and their morals don't line up with ours if they can't possibly see women as our equals. This is a complete embarrassment on the Liberal government and a massive failure. Guys, this is absolutely massive and breaking news. This just came.
PBD, I don't agree with everything that he shares, but I do agree with a lot of what he specifically shares. Maybe not everyone on his show.
Of rapes.
But he's talking about rapes in various different European countries. And correlation doesn't equal causation, but in this case it does.
In England, Wales, in 2000 versus today, have you seen those numbers?
I'm sure it's skyrocketed.
Okay, so let me show you this. England, 2000, Wales, total rapes, 8,593. Today, over 68,000 rapes. Germany, in 2000, 8,133 rapes. Today in Germany, 39,000. France, rapes in 2000, 7,500. Rapes in France today, 42,400. Rapes in Poland in 2000, you ready? 2,399. You know how many rapes in Poland today? 1,127. It's
cut it
split in
in half,
half.
yeah.
Cut in half.
It's split in half.
Only one.
Data never lies. It never lies when you see what's going on. So we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
By the way, I went to Spain. First time I went to Barcelona, Spain was in 07, 08. And we went to Madrid. I've been to Madrid multiple times. We went to Madrid. We went to Barcelona. We went to Portugal. And we stayed at the Arts Hotel. We went to just an amazing, beautiful place. Yeah, it's obviously a different story today
went a
with
few
what
years
happened
ago.
to
It's
it.
tragic.
Of rapes in England, Wales in 2000 versus
to the government.
This was so good. Veteran speaking out regarding Canada, and I agree with every friggin' word he said. And his name is Michael Bork, a veteran perspective on the state of Canada. One Canadian veteran hopes to remind us of a truth etched in blood and history. He speaks of the soul of the free nation our veterans defended, the same one we've seen eroding under misdirection and overreach. The Freedom Convoy stood as a reminder of their sacrifices and of what Canada represented under their guard. A place of freedom where debate thrives, rights are sacred, and leaders answer to citizens, not the reverse. Let's reclaim that birthright through the peaceful and unstoppable power of a free people remembering who they are. We hope this awakens the patriot in every Canadian heart. The convoy showed us the way. Now we must finish the journey together for the Canada our children deserve. Anyway, that was so good. So here's his speech.
Government of Canada and to every elected official who has forgotten who they work for. My name is Michael Bork. I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a veteran. And like millions of other Canadians, I am watching my country change in ways that should scare every person who values freedom. Let me make something very clear right from the start. You do not rule us. You represent us. And if you've forgotten that, then you have no business holding office. Because the job of government is not to control the population. The job of government is not to silence criticism. The job of government is not to decide what is legitimate information and what is not. The job of government is to serve the people and to protect the rights and freedoms of every Canadian. And I'm here to tell you that many of us no longer believe you are doing that. What I see happening in Canada right now is a slow, steady push toward a country where dissent is treated like danger and obedience is treated like virtue. That is not democracy. That is not freedom. That is not the Canada I grew up believing in. When government officials begin speaking as if independent media is illegitimate, while simultaneously defending taxpayer-funded media as the trusted voice, Canadians are not stupid. We understand exactly what that implies. It implies that you believe you have the right to shape the narrative. It implies that you believe you have the right to decide what the public is allowed to see, hear, or believe. And it implies that if people disagree with you, they should be treated as extremists. That mindset is dangerous because governments that respect democracy don't fear criticism. They don't fear debate. They don't fear opposing viewpoints. They answer them. And lately, instead of answering Canadians, we're being lectured, labeled, and dismissed. I want to remind you of something. Canadians do not exist to serve the government. The government exists to serve Canadians. And when Canadians lose trust in the institutions, it isn't because they're ignorant. It's because those institutions have repeatedly shown they can't be trusted. And the arrogance coming from Ottawa, the attitude, the citizens should just sit down and shut up and comply is exactly what is fueling the anger across this country. Now, let me say something else very clearly. I'm not calling for violence. I'm not threatening anyone, and I am not interested in chaos. What I am calling for is accountability. And I want you to understand something. Accountability is coming because Canadians are waking up. People are tired of being treated like children, tired of being taxed into the ground, tired of being told what they're allowed to say, tired of being told what's acceptable, tired of being told that what's misinformation whenever it contradicts the government's preferred story. You do not get to police the thoughts of the public. You do not get to control the flow of information. And you do not get to attack the free speech
They think they
while
do.
pretending you're protecting democracy. Because democracy without free speech is not democracy. It's an illusion. I want you to hear this loud and clear. The Canadian people are not your property. This country is not your personal project. And the laws of Canada are not meant to protect politicians from public anger. They are meant to protect the rights of Canadians. And if you keep pushing this country further down the road of censorship, propaganda, and division, then you will be resisted. Not with violence, but with exposure, with truth, with political pressure, and with the full force of Canadians using every lawful and democratic tool available to remove you. That is not a threat. That is democracy. Because in a free country, politicians can be voted out. They can be challenged. They can be criticized. And if you cannot handle that, then you do not belong in office.
Yep.
I will end with this. You are public servants. You are not kings. You are not masters. You are not above the people. And if you continue acting like you are, then Canadians will remind you sooner or later exactly who holds the power in this country. Because it is not Ottawa. It is the people. And we are done being silent. To the government.
That was so good. And what it's going to take more and more of is more law enforcement, more judges, more lawyers, especially in Ottawa, to speak up, to stand up. And I have been speaking to lawyers as well, people that did try during like the Freedom Convoy period as well. A couple of lawyers did try to speak out against it, but again, they were way outnumbered, way outnumbered. Ottawa is completely occupied by far leftist radical ideologues that are hell-bent on destroying Canada for their own interests and its international interests as well. At the behest, it's literally not at the behest. It's not even the word I need to use, but even at our expense. Melanie Joly, Chrystia Freeland, Patty Hajdu, Marco Menentino, Bill Blair, you name it. Again, Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau. Like they need to resign or get charged, suspended. Okay. Okay, so he's a Canadian, firstborn Canadian from his family. And he's a trucker, obviously. So he reacts to pause in Jaskirat Sidhu's deportation. And this guy killed so many people, and now the government is just favoring this guy. But the Liberal government does this on purpose because immigrants vote for the Liberal government. This is him saying this. A Canadian-born Punjabi trucker named Sunny says, expressing his frustration with Canada's dysfunctional immigration enforcement. It goes on from there. I'll let him speak, but Sunny sounds more Canadian than some Canadians. Respect to Sunny. A lot of people against positive feedback. Buy this man a beer. But people were saying for closure for the families, that he should be deported 100% for that alone.
I killed so many people, and they wanted to let him live here. And what is he even doing here?
Sunny, the Canadian-born Punjabi trucker with no filter.
I don't even think you'd make it to the ambulance, to be honest.
Who went viral for calling out corruption in the trucking industry, met with Chris Joseph.
How are you, brother?
A father who lost his son in the Humboldt Broncos tragedy when Jaskirat Singh Sidhu blew through a stop sign, injuring 13 and killing 16 Canadians, including Jackson Joseph.
I do have one singular mission myself right now, and I will not stop until he's deported.
Yeah, just go to India, man. Go home, bro. Like, those kids wanted to go home that day too, man. You still have opportunity. Just go home.
Sidhu was ordered deported years ago, but he has been fighting tooth and nail to avoid being deported back to India. He was scheduled to be deported yesterday, but at the 11th hour, a federal judge granted a temporary pause.
And now the government's just favoring this guy, which is unreasonable. But the Liberal government does this on purpose because immigrants vote for the Liberal government.
Sunny says people like Sidhu, his corrupt employers, and the community members who raise funds for his legal bills have caused irreparable damage to the reputation of Punjabis in Canada for decades to come.
You guys came in 8 years and our whole reputation up. The first call, if I was in that situation, if I accidentally hurt somebody, the first thing I would do is call 911 to make sure everything is good. And I'd probably call at least like 4 to 5 times. And I don't think I would be able to help anybody because I'm not trained. I wouldn't know what to do. But basically, like, his reasoning for the accident to me as a trucker doesn't make any sense. If your tarps are flapping and you don't have visibility because of the sun, there's no reason you should be going at 100 kilometers an hour anyways. Your speed should have dropped to at least 80.
Yeah, apparently he didn't call 911. And even with the tarps, my stepfather, he's been a long and short haul trucker like my entire life, 40 plus years. If your tarps are flapping, and again, I haven't even talked to him about this, but if your tarps are flapping, especially if it's impairing visibility, they need to be strapped down. There are straps for that. Multiple different types of bungee cord strap, like you name it. And so what the heck? You don't drive in those conditions.
Yeah, the guy wanted to have a family, but he had a family, so he has remorse from the Canadian public to grant permission to stay here, which is unfair for the people that were born and raised here and provided to our community and our society. So Canada got better. And now the government's just favoring this guy, which is unreasonable. But the Liberal government does this on purpose because immigrants vote for the Liberal government. And everybody that's born and raised here, like, I haven't been in politics for long, but the Liberals haven't really done anything much for the Canadian people. They've always just favored, like, immigrants. I do obviously think, like, he should get deported. I don't even know why he wants to live here in general, because no matter what he does, his children are never going to be able to enjoy the fruits of his father's labor. They're going to have to suffer the sins of their father. Obviously, there's like people that are very upset with this, and it's never going to go away. Why would you want to raise your kids here anyways at this point now?
Well, he says the air quality is really bad in India and his son has some rare lung disease.
The air quality, this is what, like, people need to, if you can sort your own country out, and I'm saying this applies for every country, even Canada, if you instead of fleeing, especially as a man, you should be doing everything in your power to fix it. And anyway,
people from India come here and complain about Canada all the time. India's better, the air quality is better, the food's so much better, the culture is better. So most of these people save up to go there anyways. Why not just go now? So you just kill people. So, like, I don't know why you want to be here anyways. And you're just fighting. You're not caring what the families got killed. If your son was on that bus, I don't know how you'd feel, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
how would you feel?
I don't even think you'd make it to the ambulance, to be honest. If, like, my kid was on that bus or somebody else, like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. And then it's also, like, it's not just, like, the driver's fault, too. It's the whole industry. Most companies do not provide good training to drivers. Back in the days when I started trucking, Indian carriers were actually good. They used to, if you were a new driver, they'll put you on a team with a professional for at least a year on the road, so you learn everything. Now they don't do that anymore. Now there's no paid training. Now they don't give you the tools. You can literally go to an Indian trucking company right now.
I keep stopping that. Even CBSA officers, like it used to be, where they would get, like, it would be left seat, right seat type training, where you'd be with someone that's experienced, and they would be working with you for weeks or months minimum. And they don't even do that anymore. And it's a couple of weeks training, and I'm not even freaking kidding. And people are out on the at the borders, and without proper training. We're giving so much money away outside of Canada, and we're not even properly training our own people. So we're setting up ourselves and them up for complete failure. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Now, walk in, sign an application, and just go on the road the next day. And then the insurance companies are to blame too, because they give exemptions for immigrants to jump on insurance companies. So anybody born and raised in Canada, you get your license right now. Nobody's going to give you a job because you don't have experience. But now,
and these exemptions for insurance, what they're doing with that, again, it's fucking over Canadians. And I'll say this because it's not just my stepfather saying this, it's people all over Canada that are truckers. Their insurance is through the roof. It keeps on going up because of all the accidents that are happening in the last few years, especially the last 5 years, through the friggin' roof. It's absolutely wild. So we have people that haven't even paid into the system at all and are not paying into it. And there are people that are paying hundreds and thousands of dollars a month for insurance because of accidents that are not even being caused by Canadians for anyways.
now if you come from India, you get your license, then you have an insurance exemption because apparently it's not your fault that you don't have any driving experience in Canada, which is bullshit. And you've never driven in snow and these harsh conditions that we have. So it doesn't make any sense.
And you shouldn't get an exemption. There should be additional training. especially because Canadian winters, again, it is extreme, especially in anyway.
That they even give you guys these exemptions anyways. But they do this every day. They hit people, they crash into people, they cause accidents, casualties all the time. Since these immigrants started coming here, our truck insurance doubled up.
And you raised this issue in my last interview, and it gone viral. You have become quite a superstar, as you would put it, right? How has there been any negative consequences of you speaking out against the industry?
Well, like the smart ones get it, but the stupid ones don't. Because the ones that are like, actually even the Indian carriers like me that are born and raised here, we don't like the immigrants either. Because like they just slash our rates and lower our wages, so we can't even pay our bills, but they live like a cheaper cost of living. So now let's just say hypothetically, I have a trucking company. I need about like, let's say $100,000 a month just feed my family, this and that. These immigrants will come here, find a way to survive off 30,000 because it's easier to start from zero to live off 30,000 than it is to go from 100,000 to 30,000. You can't adjust your lifestyle. So they make it harder for us to live, and then we got to cut corners and our companies don't survive. So a lot.
And they're charging less, significantly less for loads than even average loads. And so this is what I mean. There's companies that are using the cheap labor at the expense of Canadians to even have appropriate wages and salaries. It's in every industry right now. That's like even in agriculture, etc. And it is doing us a disservice.
A lot of people just end up getting out of the industry. But then because of these situations, like a lot of Canadians are deciding just to leave the country as a whole too.
Now, you said that's what, like, smart people get it. Well, how do other people, like, what's been the negative reaction?
Well, the ones that are entitled like little girls, obviously they're going to be like, me, I want. They don't think about, like, what I deserve and what obviously, like, to get something in life, you have to put an outcome. Like, there's people that come from, like, India, for example. Like, there's a company that I took down. Everybody knows about it, Punjab Transport, right? That idiot came here for 10 years, built a company, everybody's money up, and was complaining that he couldn't buy a Rolls Royce. What kind of comment is that to make?
And that happened after you gave an interview to me, and then what happened?
I shut that company down a month after I gave an interview to you, yeah, because I went viral. So then the company basically, like, some of the employees wanted me to, like, start speaking out now because I went viral because of you. And then I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And then I think a month after everything, like, everything got seized. I don't know where he is right now. Like, he is trying to kill me. Like, he is pissed off.
Anyway, that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later. But overall, what is your impression of Sidhu now that you have heard firsthand from Chris? Chris says he's always been selfish. He's been always me. What is your assessment of Sidhu?
Well, obviously he's selfish. Like, obviously, like, if you hurt somebody's kid, like, you should expect, like, that father is going to be upset. I don't even have kids, but that guy has kids. So he should understand it firsthand anyways.
What do you make of his reasons to stay in Canada?
It's bullshit. It's just immigration plot. That's all they do. It's like how all these students come here for studying, what do they study? Fucking business administration, whatever the fuck. And then they all just get their trucking license all of a sudden. It's not like they always have an alternative motive just to stay here. Yeah. But they don't want to be a part of the culture. They just want to come here, get money, and then it looks good to people in India. Like, oh my God, like, my son's in Canada. Like, maybe he's going to get married because the arranged marriage should still work. They still do it. I don't think people that live in India have a high chance of getting married because most of the time they want their daughters to marry somebody in another country.
Now, if a white person were to say what you're saying, if they were to expose what's happening in the trucking industry, they could be accused of racism, as they usually are accused of. Do you find yourself in a special position, but then do you also get backlash from your community?
Bro, it's not even about that anymore. Like, we shouldn't even be looking at colors. What culture? Like, we're all Canadian. It doesn't matter about the color of our skin. I don't even know why people talk about it. It's like dummy talk.
Do you have a message to Sidhu himself? Right now he's watching you. He's listening to you. Would you like to send him a message, maybe in Punjabi or in English?
Like, I don't know, man. Speaking to you, like, maybe as a brother, because we're from the same community, whatever, man. I would suggest, like, for yourself, giving you advice as a brother, it is best for you to actually just go to India. You have a golden opportunity. Maybe one day you're going to save up here and go there anyways. Go now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fair for your family and, like, you, because, like, obviously, like, you killed a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's going to be upset. Like, you don't know what's going to happen to you. You don't know what's going to happen to your children. You're not safe here. It's better for you to just go to India anyways and just live your life and build something there. Save up whatever money you have.
The families want closure, and a lot, like the parents, some of them want, again, his deportation.
like a little bit of time, whatever time you need, take whatever money you have and just go back to farming and do whatever the you're over there.
Some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be bad, polluted in some of the major cities in India, but again, I think it's like what 85% of the country is uninhabited right now. So move to more rural India, where you're going to have a lot less pollution, air pollution, etc. What's so hard about that? That's what a lot of people should be doing anyways, living in rural communities within their countries. It's the backbone of the country.
People say he should be forgiven, and people who lost a child in this incident, they should all forgive him and move on and let him be in Canada. What do you think of those people who say that?
That's stupid. I have a friend that gave some guy money. He's from India. He's an international student. He gave one of his friends like $5,000 to pay his tuition. When he went to ask for his money back, his friend didn't give him the money back. Then he ended up getting into a physical altercation. He went into a fight. He was in jail for a month because he had nobody to bail him out. And as soon as he got out, he got deported. People get deported for less. This guy killed so many people. Yep. And they want him to let him live here. And what is he even doing here? What is he doing? How is he surviving? How is he paying his bills? What is he doing? It doesn't make
is the government paying for it? Let's look into that.
Any sense?
How is he paying his legal bills?
Like, I'm pretty sure like the Indian community, they probably went to the temple and they ran like a fundraiser or something like that. But then like it's Chris's family and like the Humble Crash, how much money are you going to give these guys to get over it?
Yeah.
Is there really enough? Is there a number? Well, the long-term effects of their life, like what Sidhu did to these families, they have to live with it for the rest of their life, and you don't know about the trauma. People are missing their brothers, people are missing their sons, people are missing their grandchildren. So like of all the trauma that other people have to go through, there's nothing compared to what you're gonna have to go through. You still get to go to like back home to Canada, like India. You can still live a life. Yeah. We can't even go to another country. There's no escape from this for these families. So it's very selfish what you're thinking. It makes no sense, no logical sense.
You have a call to the community. How should the community handle this situation?
Bro, the community like us that were like born and raised here, like we don't even agree with them anyways. It's the ones like the new immigrants that have been coming here for like the past 10 years that are not like us. In India, like there's been like a caste system going on forever, but like every like 3 generations it changes. So people need to accept that like we need to like understand the difference between right and wrong. And when like our parents like came here, like they had to deal with a lot of racism overcome. And then after that, like people started really loving Indian people and like people started caring about us. We became like really good neighbors and really good people. You guys came in 8 years of whole reputation up.
Yep. That was good. All right, Brian Peckford. How long have I been on? Oh my God, almost an hour. I'm not even finished my international updates. Former Newfoundland Premier Brian Peckford is the one man still alive who was personally in the room when then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, in the room with then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, when the provinces and the federal government agreed together to a new Constitution Act and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He said the story that the federal government is telling about the clause's alleged misuse is false, and why Ottawa's attempts to override it are unconstitutional, as well as the Supreme Court has no authority to weigh in on its use, as the justices are now doing at the Justice Minister's request. Yeah, so he's just interesting. The country we once knew is unrecognizable.
If you're American.
Okay, what was this one? Oh yeah, one of Trump's advisors, Sebastian Gorka, engaged in a heated exchange with reporter Dasha Burns, criticizing Politico as gutter press, fake news and a joke, and it was interesting. So White House bureau chief and playbook chief correspondent, Politico.
Member of Al Qaeda, you're a terrorist.
How do you know if they're members of these gangs? What I'm saying.
You mean the tattoos MS-13 on their knuckles doesn't? Well, that doesn't help it.
Those.
Do you have tattoos of Al Qaeda?
The tattoo did not say MS-13. I don't want to get into that.
Oh, of course it does. It's just accidents that the 4 symbols represent the letters MS. See, this is why Politico is a joke. This is why you are gutter press and fake news. That those 4 symbols that just happen to comport with the letters MS and the numbers 13 don't, in this case, represent MS-13. You're sitting here live defending a member of MS-13. That's why I regret coming here, because this isn't journalism. This is protecting those who hate America. Shame on you. We are saving lives. Sir. saving life. How about Maryland fathers compared to Maryland mothers? Like Rachel Marin, mother of 5, raped and murdered and thrown in a ditch. How about Jocelyn Nungare, age 12, raped a mile from her home and thrown in a ditch? It's strange that Politico doesn't do articles about her, that mother, or that 12-year-old girl. Why is that? Why is the MS-13 guy with the knuckle tattoos more important in terms of due process than the lives of 12-year-old girls brutally raped? It's weird that the priorities shift to defending the member of an FTO, but not the children and the women. Dan Crenshaw told me a story once of a 16-year-old girl who was smuggled across this border. The parents paid $5,000 for her to live in America, the land of milk and honey. She ended up locked in a room in New York, raped by more than a dozen men every day for 18 months until she escaped. She went to Dan Crenshaw's office, and I'm no friend of Dan Crenshaw's, okay? He's still got TDS. And that girl said to him,
I don't like him either.
Please close the border so another girl doesn't have to be raped by 12 strange men every day for 18 months. It's strange that Politico doesn't cover those stories. Could you tell me why?
We have covered.
No, you haven't. You have not covered those stories. I'd like to see.
They hate any American that doesn't fall for their bullshit ideologies. And she is not exposed to the same threats as the majority of women in the US and Canada.
The Jocelyn Nungare, Rachel Marin stories in comparison to the Russia collusion garbage. I mean, let's be honest here.
Let's move on.
You have an agenda.
Let's move on.
If you're a member of Al-Qaeda, you're a terrorist.
How do you know if that they're members of these gangs? What I'm saying
You mean
is,
the tattoos MS-13 on our knuckles doesn't, that doesn't help it?
Those.
Do you have tattoos of Al-Qaeda?
The tattoo did not say MS-13. I don't want to get.
Look how the tattoos did not say MS-13. I don't want to get into it. It's just above, it's just your intellect is just too low for me to explain. This is how, it's just, I don't know. I guess I'm salty. Fatigue. Woke fatigue. All right, I'm going to get into another video. And I did a lot of really interesting research into astrotheosophy again. Stuff I've talked about, but again, it's more, again, refining things and elaborating more. I was looking at the Last Supper and the apostles and the connections to the zodiac signs and the crosses with John the Baptist and Jesus and how they're reversed and St. Andrew's with the X. And anyways, all this stuff, because we might talk about it tomorrow. I don't know if Jeff wants to. Before I do, though, I said I was going to talk more about the event that happened, the assassination attempt over the weekend. And I saw a few of the clips from Dan Bungie. I did not watch the whole thing, but some of the clips I saw I hadn't seen before. Again, I wasn't looking into it at all. I was telling people I'll give you like small stuff here and there, but until I fully look into it, I'm not going to cover it too much. But overall, like I will say that I was impressed with a lot of the reactions of various security professionals and from various different organizations and agencies. And the more I saw, there was better muzzle control, et cetera, especially within certain agencies and units, et cetera. There was, but again, still somewhere the response times were questionable. So Mike Glover, I do value his feedback. I haven't watched this whole video yet. And so I might as well watch it with you. He posted this just yesterday and he goes into it.
2 1,000, 3 1,000, 12.
He's closer to my assessment of this, but because he's better at doing these videos and he's going to do it in a better way, I'm going to let him speak.
13, they finally pick up the president. He falls on the ground. They pick him up. And then these guys in their full kit, full battle rattle, scanning and looking for threats. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Reacts. This time, the White House Correspondents' Dinner and the attempted assassination. I think this is the third attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. So before we get into it, the shooter was rolled up and he appears to be uninjured. So based on the reports, this is what we know. The incident happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Washington Hilton in D.C. on Saturday night. According to Secret Service and multiple outlets, the suspect breached and rushed a security screening checkpoint where gunfire erupted. Trump was unharmed, and Trump later publicly said all cabinet members were safe. In addition to that, a Secret Service agent was shot, but Trump said the agent was wearing a bulletproof vest and was doing great. As of the latest major reports, no other confirmed injuries were reported, and the suspect was rolled up. Cole Thomas Allen, age 31, from Torrance, California, who had reportedly checked into the hotel as a guest before the attack. According to law enforcement, he had a shotgun pew-pew, one of these pew-pew, and multiple knives. NPR reported the suspect was initially being charged with use of a firearm during a crime of violence, assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon, and more charges likely. How about the attempted murder? You shoot a Secret Service agent and a bulletproof vest is what saved their life. How about attempted murder? So there's a whole bunch of controversy already involving this incident, including the lack of security, some things that were said by...
This is where he corrects it, because that was going to be my comment, but he corrected it, so I'm not going to correct him on that. Okay, so what he said was there are reports that the Secret Service agent shot was hit with a shotgun, so it's likely, so he's saying, so it's likely no one was struck with the crossfire. Let me know if you found anything different. So for me, the possibility of the shotgun, yes, I talked about that, and then the leg, that could have been friendly fire. But again, it was a fluid, dynamic environment. So I'm not going to justify it. But again, I'm not going to quarterback, armchair quarterback either. And so he's already correcting that. So
Caroline Leavitt, the response of the Secret Service, the list goes on. We're going to break those out and reacts. But first, I want to say big shout out to our premier sponsor, Carnival. I've been talking about them in nauseum. Just buy the blow. All right, let's go ahead and start with this first video. This is fascinating, to say the least. So this is the video that I'm going to roll, and I want you to pay attention to the crowd first. What we're going to do is break down this crowd. The analogy I want to use for you guys is like the water, the ocean. If we're looking for something in a sea of people, well, we're not looking at individuals. We're looking at the overall behavior and body language of the people in the sea of people that we see. Are we noticing anything change or shift as these shots are popped off? So just to orient you to everything that's going on, speaking of orienting you, there's a Asian woman right here. I'm allowed to do that, guys. This is my channel, and there's an Asian person right here who's very extreme with her body language until she thinks that something is happening that's very bad. I want you to pay attention to the cues here. So everything right here on this side is the president. That's the president. That's Melania. I think Caroline Leavitt is sitting here. And everything on this side is JD Vance. So JD's here. I don't think that's his wife. That's just a person. But he's sitting in between these two people. Okay, just for context. Now, what we're going to do is there's the shots popping off, and then there's the people on the left and the people on the right. I want you to pay attention right after the shots, and we'll pause it right after. See? Lots of body language from her. Okay, they just popped off. All right, pay attention right here on the panel. Pay attention on the stage. Nobody. I think,
oh, it's raining, so.
This guy might have heard it and said something to JD, and this dude's like, something's going on, but nobody is literally doing anything. They're completely immersed in the conversation with this fella, and nobody is doing anything. Now, there are a couple people paying attention. This person, peacocking, paying attention. This person, paying attention. In the time between paying attention, meaning you're noticing something's different, there's a spike in the graph.
I'm having internet issues again, but what I was going to say was it sounded like there were 6 shots at least that went off. Does anyone have any different?
And actually doing something is the critical moment of survival. And if you just sit around and you do nothing, then statistically, you're likely to become a casualty. But if you reduce the time from identifying a potential threat and moving away from that threat off the X, you have more of a chance of surviving. So I'm going to back it up because I want you to see the reaction of this guy, and we can go ahead and hone in right here. So he immediately snaps his neck over to JD, and I think he's like, what was that? Then JD and both of them look, but then he takes a sip of his drink, so they're not taking it serious. And then you notice his posture starts to lower. His guys are already behind him with hands on 10 seconds into this event. They're ready to evacuate. In fact, the time between evacuating JD and Trump is about 13 seconds too long. Here we go. Let's go ahead and roll it. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10, 11, 12, 13. They finally pick up the president. He falls on the ground. They pick him up. And then these guys in their full kit, full battle rattle, scanning and looking for threats. Okay, so here's my biggest problem. Okay, these are the medics likely moving to the president to make sure that there's no issues, but they're likely the medics assigned to the president's detail. So I have a few problems with this. Let's go back. And before we get into the problems, let's look at this group of people as a test study. Between the time that they hear something, that they identify the threat, and the time that they actually move. And focus in on this dude, because this dude, I think, initiates the movement of actually doing something about it. But here we go. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. He's under the table. 7 seconds and this dude's under the table. So why is that effective? Because it's doing something. He's not waiting to be told. All these people, some people are standing up, some people are breaking contact, some people are ducking their heads. They're trying to observe, and this dude's like, I'm out. See you guys later. So the problem I have is with the Secret Service's reaction between identifying a potential threat, let's put it that way, and then trying to determine whether that is an actual threat or not. And from that time, how much time it took him to move the president. So here we go. Let's back it up and focus on the president's detail. Gunshots. Everybody's starting to move. They're starting to duck. JD's detail comes in, gets hands on, and then they go to evacuate. Now, here's the problem. So these guys, there's one guy who's the bodyguard that's assigned to Trump. That's job is to put his plates, because he has plates certainly under the suit, in between the potential threat and the president. He does that effectively. He actually does it really fast. Let's actually count this. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. 10 seconds, he's up. So now these guys are up. So they're in the position of like, we have to identify the threat and protect the president right now. And the time that it takes for them to actually move him is more of the concern. Now they decide to move him. And they're still not off the stage, but JD's long gone. And now we got these guys scanning. Now, I don't know their specific SOPs, and nor would I advertise it, but these guys are on guns, obviously. And they're scanning for threats. I like the posture of this guy and this guy, where this guy, I think he has a variable magnified optic. So he's looking through variable magnification at the back of the crowd because it's probably pretty far away, probably 100 meters at least. And he's trying to determine where there's a potential threat while using and scanning with his naked eye above the optic. This guy, and there's another guy here, I don't know if that's their job. It doesn't seem to be, because their guns are just placed down at the ready. And I always tell people, like if I'm training law enforcement or training civilians, if your gun's in this position, that gun is asleep because it's not oriented towards the potential threat. And then if you had to get a shot off, you would have to get the gun up. You'd have to get behind the optic and acquire the target, and then you'd have to break the shot. That whole shot process would take a lot of time. These guys are snapshotted with their red dot on top because I think they're running red dots on top of their variable magnified optic to break a shot fast and roll into night vision if they have to because they're done in nods. Now, to be fair, I don't think that that's these guys' role, but it's kind of bewildering to me. They're just standing around holding basically a weapon system at port arms. Now, I've heard a couple people say, why are they scanning for threats and flagging everybody? That's combat. That's actually what happens in an active threat response. You scan the crowd with a live firearm and you're not worried about flagging people because you're looking for potential threats. And that's what happens in these kind of situations in hostage rescue. That guy's on a cell phone recording everything, not worried about anything going on. And these, I believe, are the president's medics who are taking their big triage bags, probably the doctor, and moving that way. Let's go ahead and play it in its full so you can see how this thing goes down in its entirety from a different angle, which gives us a different perspective. Okay, this is the woman who's like waving and very happy-go-lucky until she identifies there's a potential threat and her posture changes. Shots. Okay, I don't think anybody's recognizing it yet. She sees people moving. Oh, now she. She realizes something's going on. Her posture changes. She ducks down, and JD's gone. And then the president's just still sitting there. Nobody's moving the president. I would be upset if I was a supervisor in the Secret Service, knowing how long the president was exposed after gunshots went off. Okay, so here's what I want to just tell you. Just if you're ever in these situations and you're any of these people and you're looking at the potential of where that threat took place, your default might be, yeah, there's experts here to take care of that. I don't trust any experts. I trust myself, and I trust my own abilities to get out of harm's way or to get my own family out of harm's way.
I forget it. My mic was off. I don't even know how long it was off for. And I was talking about different drills and techniques. And now I don't even think you guys heard me. What a waste. I'll get back to it. Oh, yeah. Like I was saying that I've done, again, I say this a lot, that I've done a lot of work. Not a lot, but I've done a fair amount of work with executive protection. And including for the Prime Minister, the head of the Toronto Raptors, the governor and SDG for the Bank of Canada, etc. And first and foremost, the priority, if you were assigned to the president or a VIP or a primary, whatever you want to call it, is removing that person from the threat, right? And so there is a lot of coordination, or there should be a lot of coordination done in advance, including exits and entries for emergencies and otherwise. And that's something that oftentimes, like the president, the vice president, these people are not aware of because they're not involved in those planning processes, the coordination, et cetera, the recce's, you name it. And so removing Trump because he's not going to know where to go and he needs to be covered because he cannot get shot. Again, he's the most important person in the United States, whether people like it or not. And that's the priority, right? So it's not having your gun out, scanning, et cetera. Your role is literally to move your primary out of the way, out of danger. And it's pre-planned routes, escape routes, whatever you want to call them.
So every one of these people, if you want to survive, as soon as you identify a potential threat, you don't take the chance, you grab your loved one and you start moving off the X. You don't look where everybody else is looking. You don't move where everybody else is moving. You don't follow any direction from anybody except getting yourself, your loved one, out of harm's way as quickly as possible. Because the reality is all these people are sitting ducks. One of the problems I had with the security posture they took post this event is they moved all of the people that are in this building outside into an intersection protected by Metropolitan Police.
Yeah.
How do you know that wasn't the entire plan from the onset? Create a massive distraction, get the president to evacuate, get these people out in the streets, and then take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, I will tell a story about that. There was one event that I was working, and this was the last one. So this was with the Prime Minister and the head of the Toronto Raptors, but it was for the George Floyd friggin' memorial thing. And anyways, it is what it is. And there was comms lockdowns, like people didn't have access to internet at all. Like even the head of the Raptors at the time, really nice guy, by the way, not very talkative. And anyway, more to that story. But there was data everyone was getting jammed. I was the only one whose phone was able to work. And I'm convinced it was because I was on a different plan and because I was on a VPN, et cetera. I don't know. And people also, they weren't prepared, even part of the security details, which was, to me, I was like, okay, man, like you're men, but you're DEI hires. But like, it is what it is. But they didn't have cash. And they, again, didn't have comms, didn't have backup comms. And so like we were able to manage all of that piece. But again, it was super last minute. And because of that, like with the primary, I didn't feel comfortable. And I was talking this through, but with him going back to his hotel room after the event because of that. And he was, there was something with his flight as well. And I'm like, this doesn't really sit right with me. And we were in the vehicle and I forget what it was, but you always have to be prepared for anything. Right. And so there was construction on a route that even like the night before there was no construction. That to me was weird. And so the driver, again, doing the recce's and stuff like that, he knew the route, but he didn't have backup routes, right? So luckily I'm like, we can't stay or stall or stop or anything. So I just signaled to him from front to go the other direction. And then I just figured out like a way to get back to, anyway, I didn't want to go back to the hotel because I'm like, this could possibly be, there could be more to it. And why now is this happening? And there was just an assassination attempt on the former Prime Minister of Japan or whatever it was, and another assassination attempt in I forget where it was. And that didn't pan out. It was a handmade 3D printed gun or something like that was used. But anyways, it was all within 24 hours. And I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with him going back to his hotel. Is there anyone else who can go and get his stuff, check out for him, and so that he so that we can drive him. Could we had to plan for driving him back to Toronto because he didn't, because of the aircraft thing. Anyways, all this stuff, but it ended up where like he also wanted to go back into the hotel room. He was comfortable enough and get his stuff, and so of course, you know, it's like at that point, you like there's nothing more I can say. Like I addressed my concerns and stuff like that, but at that point, you know, I don't know, but it is what it is. But just like Mike's, as he's saying that, it's reminding me of like, yeah, absolutely, these are absolutely things that veterans or people with experience think of when, you know, when stuff like this happens, even when that doesn't even involve firearms, even if it's just like electronic warfare or jamming or whatever.
To exploit them when they're sitting ducks out on the road. That could have been the plan from the onset. I'm not taking any chances. Yeah. Let's go ahead, and there's a lot more where this came from.
Yeah, I'll connect immediately.
See, one of the problems I have with this is like there's people like sitting down on the ground, laying down. They're not utilizing any cover, and they're just trying to observe what's going on so they have understanding.
Look out! Bro, somebody go.
I guess that's their SOP yelling, move, move, move. I don't know what that means, but I assume they're telling.
We got one down.
Oh, gosh. Got National Guardsmen rolling in.
What the?
Yeah, see how they're moving? These are military, but moving with the firearms down. Yeah, that's what I was talking about when you're moving. But then if you're clearing, it's
oh my God. Stay down, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, stay down.
And see, they don't
I have no idea what those National Guardsmen and women are doing.
Yeah.
But they appear to be military police officers. They have MP, and they're just walking in. They obviously don't have an understanding of what to do if something went wrong. I would never bring in the National Guard into the X of where this thing is happening. I would use them on containment, secure, set up a roadblock, set up a triage station, but not be just roaming around. That female National Guards woman was just roaming around, walking around without a pistol drawn, literally just walking.
Could be a medical.
See, one of the biggest issues with this type of situation is nobody is in charge, which there should be, of moving these people in specific areas because there's a lot of civilians just running around. And now we're going to get into the CCTV camera of the suspect penetrating the security checkpoint. Okay, so it happens fast, guys. So watch this.
Yeah.
So here's one of the security guards. These guys are in kit, just hanging out, like literally just.
This is the blurry video that I was talking about that was AI enhanced. And people are trying to say that because it was enhanced and there was glitches, that it means that the whole thing was fake, which it wasn't. Based on, again, my assessment, I could be wrong.
Smoking and joking, just talking, not paying attention to anything. And then this dude makes a clean run for it and gets through everybody.
Yeah.
Look, he's that far away. I don't know the distance from that to here, but he's at a full sprint.
And the person here, I don't know if that's a female or not, but she was the first to see, from what I can get from this video. Again, I'm watching the rest of this with you. I haven't watched this whole thing. I had only watched maybe 10 minutes of it before. And so, yeah, that would have been the first response. But again, I will give credit to the guy that gets spun. He does get spun and still, like, fairly quickly deploys his firearm. I don't think he engaged or anything like that, which is also good. Again, you shouldn't just be, like, freely shooting anyways, unless you actually have your target locked in. Again, especially in built-up areas and inside buildings where there's multiple other people.
This dude even backs up because he's like, what is going on? Okay, so I imagine he gets on a gun. He gets on a weapon system right here, and he's trying to stop him. Ooh, that looked like some crossfire right there.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Okay.
If anyone's watching, you know, if he engaged or not. I'll try to listen, but let me know.
Okay, I have never seen this angle before, but that doesn't, and he's trying to stop him. Ooh, that looked like some crossfire right there. Okay. Okay, I have never seen this angle before, but that doesn't look good. Because I thought the suspect engaged him, and that was the guy that was hit, but he had a vest on. But maybe it was these guys. But there was for sure some crossfire going on right there. Do you guys see that? Like, pay attention to when he's drawn down on this guy and he's running. I think he's pew-pewing as he comes across this guy. Wouldn't it be wild if that guy was shot and it was friendly fire? Okay, so he draws. And he's definitely engaging. You can see the flash from the muzzle, and he's right into the crossfire of this guy. Whoa. So I've never seen that angle before, and I've never seen that. The suspect engaged. He gets on a weapon system right here, and he's trying to stop him. Ooh, that looked like some crossfire right there. Okay. Okay. I have never seen this angle before.
I'm not hearing
that. Doesn't look good. Because I thought the suspect engaged him, and that was the guy that was hit, but he had a vest on. But maybe it was these guys. But there was for sure some crossfire going on right there. Do you guys see that? Like, pay attention to when he's drawn down on this guy and he's running. I think he's pew-pewing as he comes across this guy. Wouldn't it be wild if that guy was shot and it was friendly fire? Okay, so he draws.
Okay, yep.
And
oh, yeah, that's what he's talking about. Okay. I didn't hear. I'm going to check again for like if I can hear a shot go off. But if that was, again, I'm not saying it's friendly fire because we don't know where the round ended up, even if it did go off. That would be interesting. Is it a guy or a girl? It kind of looked like a girl to me.
He's definitely engaging. You can see the flash from the muzzle, and he's right into the crossfire of this guy. Whoa. So I've never seen that angle before, and I've never seen that. Right there.
Oh, yeah.
He's breaking a shot right there in line, and you see that dude kind of slump, but he actually turns out and angle before, and I've never seen that.
Okay, so he's backing up. This firearm's being deployed.
Right.
See, it's up now. Okay, he's going through.
Right there. He's breaking a shot right there in line, and you see that dude kind of slump, but he actually turns out and pulls his pew-pew, and he's facing down that way. Whoa. Okay. That might have been a friendly fire incident, because I think that's the guy who's hit. I don't know that for sure, but we should probably look into that. Whoa. Okay. Here's what's fascinating as well. And it appears that the suspect was injured, but not by pew fire. The best current reporting says law enforcement said the suspect was not hit by bullets during a confrontation. Lastly, let's get a good picture of the suspect.
The suspect, Cole Allen, he's going to be
This is the
arraigned
photo I
in
was talking
federal
about.
court today.
I know I keep on going back. Yeah, so I'm going to look more into if, because the firearm, again, it was definitely deployed, definitely presented. Did it go off? It looked like it may have gone off. Did it hit the guy? I don't know. It looks like it could have. It could have been his response to, again, the guy charging at him. Or it could have been, again, because of getting hit somewhere. I don't know. Wow. Oh, man. I freaking hope it. Like, we already have so many women examples of just terrible responses.
Bullets during a confrontation. Lastly, let's get a good picture of the
The
suspects.
suspect, Cole
So this is the photo I was talking about, damn it. But anyway, the female, her gun was like this, but she was doing this. Anyways.
Allen, he's going to be arraigned in federal
Finger was off the trigger, though, at least.
court today.
Here you go. That's him. Now, there's a lot of conspiracies circulating online, including Caroline Levitt saying there's going to be shots fired at the event. She was obviously talking about the correspondents versus the politicians, specifically the Trump administration. But it's wild to me that this dude would throw away his entire life because he's for sure going to prison for life and just wing an assassination attempt by running in, thinking he was going to get in there and create casualties. That did not happen. And it's fortunate some things went right that night because it could have went very poorly. In a more comprehensive version of this, if the people were trained, they could have easily convinced all these people to go out in the streets and then used it as an opportunity as a second potential attack. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Support our channel by subscribing, hitting that notification tab.
That was good. Long video. Yeah, I like his assessments better than most, honestly, of people that are online. I do obviously chat with people offline on certain platforms when I want to get certain information before I gather information from other influencers. I'm not one of those, but he most certainly is. Am I going to talk about this astrotheosophy stuff now? Maybe I'll save it because it's already long enough. All right. Yeah, that's it. I'll keep it like that for now. So on that note, I will leave it at that.